Dr. Jim's Moore County Today is presented as a public service by HMA Marketing Associates. HMA is where social media, innovative advertising, and techno-wizardry combine to produce results.
Welcome, friends, to Dr. Jim's Moore County Today. I happen to be Dr. Jim Polikoff, and as many of our followers know, the purpose of these weekly podcasts is to introduce you to the unique flavor of Moore County's local businesses, healthcare innovations, and entertainment happenings in our area. In today's podcast, I'm going to share one of the best-kept secrets about Carthage, North Carolina. Joining me once again is Michelle Polikoff, the producer of Dr. Jim's podcast, who wants to hear about the secret.
So what's the secret?
Well, Michelle, have you ever heard of William T. Jones?
No, I haven't.
Well, W.T. Jones was born in 1833 as a son of a slave and his mother's white owner.
Did he escape or was he freed?
Well, there's no evidence of what happened to him as a boy, but we do know that in the 1860s, at the age of 27, Jones worked for a buggy company located in Carthage, North Carolina, which was owned by Thomas Thompson and Alexander Kelly. Here he was a carriage painter and a shop supervisor.
Wasn't that around the time of the Civil War?
Absolutely correct. And soon after the war started, he joined the Confederate Army. Considering he was a former slave, we're not certain why. But what's even more amazing is by 1864, he had risen to the rank of first lieutenant, and not too long after that, he became a colonel.
How could this happen, especially for a black slave in the South?
Well, from what we can gather, Colonel Jones did not visibly appear to be black. In any case, his unit was eventually captured in Virginia by the Union Army, and they were sent to Fort Delaware. Here, the men spent the better part of a year as prisoners of war.
Well, then what happened?
This is when we learned that Jones was a true entrepreneur. He began picking up potato peelings and saved bread crusts to make homemade moonshine. Jones then sold his fiery concoction to the prison guards, and somehow, perhaps bribing these guards, sold moonshine to the local townspeople as well. Plus, he was smart enough to demand payment in Union currency for his liquor.
Interesting. So what happened when the war ended?
Well, Colonel Jones came back to North Carolina with an estimated $3,000 US in his pockets. Most other people at that time only had worthless Confederate paper. So upon returning to Carthage, Jones found devastation, people starving, and the buggy company that he once worked for was going under. So he bankrolled Tyson and Kelly, their entire operation, and the three of them together began to rebuild the business.
Was it successful?
Yes, it was. In 1873, Tyson and Jones bought out their partner, Kelly, and the company was renamed Tyson and Jones Buggy Company. But by 1876, Jones and his partner were producing 400 buggies, which was quite a huge jump. And then when they entered the 1990s, the company was constructing 3,000 carriages annually.
Wow.
Very successful. It was a good run, and it made W.T. Jones a very wealthy man. But then came the automobile, and unfortunately that dominated, and it actually ended the buggy company, which closed its doors in 1925.
Did the issue that Mr. Jones was once a black slave arise in Carthage?
Well, for some odd reason, the members of the community looked the other way. It was surprising, but they did. Now, having said that, it was illegal for a black man to be married to a white woman. And in fact, W.T. Jones ended up marrying two white women. Their names were Sophia McLean and Lawrence Dockery. And Dockery was from a very, very prominent Moore County family. Of course, They weren't married at the same time, of course. There was a split between them, but that even made it more scandalous that in those days there would be a divorce. And of course, here's W.T. Jones right in the middle of it. But people, as I say, look the other way. In fact, in 1902, the local Republican Party urged Jones to run for office. And they made posters and all over posting, "Support Colonel W.T. Jones for the North Carolina State House." It was amazing. He made a good run, but unfortunately his campaign was unsuccessful. But of course, by that time, W.T. became a local icon. He was a beloved Methodist Sunday school teacher, town leader, and a very prosperous industrialist. But ironically, W.T. Jones never appeared in any of the Tyson and Jones literature, their catalog, or for that matter, in any newspaper. He actually prohibited the publishing of his photograph.
How interesting. What finally became of Mr. Jones?
Well, by the time of his death in 1910, William T. Jones was one of the most prominent business owners in Carthage. He continued to rub elbows with the elite white upper class in Moore County, and he threw these elaborate holiday parties that everyone talked about. Everyone wanted to go to a party thrown by W.T. Jones. And after his death, very impressively, the local newspaper reported, and I'll quote, "Jones was a citizen regarded in all respects as an example and a model for present and future generations." Very laudatory.
So he left quite the legacy.
Yes, he sure did. And even today, in their annual Carthage Buggy Festival, they proudly celebrate the achievements of this former slave. And in fact, his elaborate 1880s Queen Anne Victorian mansion has become a very popular local bed and breakfast establishment called the Old Buggy Inn. It was restored in an elegant, painted lady fashion, evoking the lavishness and, well, of a bygone era. Yes, he left quite a legacy. In fact, a very impressive man, regardless of his, shall we say, beginnings as a slave. So we say rest in peace and contentment, Colonel William T. Jones. Thanks for being part of our family. And remember, Dr. Jim's Moore County Today is broadcast every week. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google, or for that matter, any podcast app you choose. So let's be friends. Keep dreaming, keep living joyfully, and keep sharing. This is the motto from which true friends arise.
If you are a business, healthcare professional, or represent local entertainment and wish to be featured on Dr. Jim's Moore County Today podcast, simply visit the website of HMA Marketing Associates and complete our form. The website is hmago.com, and that is HMAGO.com.